You can go first.
Mr. Back.
Excuse me.
Hello.
Hello. So looking at the letter from NSA, it was dated August 21st. What was the original timeline for completion of these projects?
I'm sorry.
April 2nd?
Yeah, but you can come up here if you want.
Yeah, I was gonna
This is
say-
Greg Mason from NSA, just to let you know. He's our representative that's been working with us on these buildings.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it if everybody comes to the mic to
Yeah.
speak.
And the contract did expire, plus we granted a small extension to the contractor for various reasons, material deliveries. We had just some redesign with the storm. We had some issues over there. And of course, since his contract expired, there's additional work for NSA to do also.
Okay, because I know it referenced like COVID in here, so I didn't know if construction had actually stopped at one point or if it continued.
Yeah, our services continued. We had progress meetings, we did submittals, RFIs, so there was ongoing activity, though some of the construction, a lot of it did stop during the middle of COVID. But we continued with the...
There were still change orders and reviews and things like that, and we did have meetings still, but the construction itself did stop because of the governor's order.
So I have a question then, Mr. Chair. So the contract extension for construction administrative services, you said that you continued on. Is that what you are, the administrative services?
Yeah.
So you're asking for more money even though you continued on?
The funding ran out. Our original contract was based on a 10th-month duration, and we're into the 12th, 13th month. So we've exhausted all the funds for those services, yet the projects continue. So until the projects close out, we have to continue to administer the contract, review payment applications, review submittals, respond to RFIs, deal with changes. So until the projects are closed out, we still have to continue to oversee the projects for you and the funding.
So you did what you had to do, but because they were stopped, you couldn't do any more for them? I kinda like
and
what
there
it
were
means.
changes and things and some delays from the contractor, and so the time frame ran out on our contract. So we want to be able to complete our services for you, and funding just had run out.
And when is this contract extended part going to be?
Middle of October for Parks and Rec. And the media center, we're doing closeouts right now. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at it. It's a pretty nice project. But we're doing closeouts as we speak on the Parks and Rec and working on that. So this is an allowance to carry us through the rest of the project. We use what we need and not to exceed that cap, so that we know we can finish our services for you.
Well, that was my next question. Do you think you're going to be able to finish it within that time
I hope
frame?
so. We're working really hard to keep the contractor on track.
He's running into some challenges though, because a lot of the COVID issues that are related, suppliers getting things in on time.
Yeah.
I'm sure
We're confident.
running into that issue.
I'm confident I will not be back here. I don't want to be back here. We should be able to wrap things up.
And we had no contingency in this contract too, just to make that point too. But NSA, they're doing a lot of the bulk of the work. They make sure all the affidavits are signed for the suppliers when they request pay, to make sure they don't put a lien on the building, and they follow up on all that, and change orders, and make sure they're complying with the line item cost in the contract, and they know the contract. If you've seen the contract, if you recall when I first brought it to you, it's pretty thick, so
Yeah,
everything's covered pretty much.
We make sure the contractor's giving you what you paid for and following proper procedures, and that everything's done according to your contract with them.
Well, I'm glad it's you doing it instead of us, so yeah, that's a good
They've been
thing.
doing a good job.
Yeah.
They really have. They've been representing.
I just wanted to make sure that you're not 100% sure you're going to be done by October, because we can never predict what's going to happen in the future, but
We're pretty confident. We're staying on the contractor pretty heavy-handed to keep them on track.
so you shouldn't have to come back and ask for any more.
I do not want to be back here.
Well, they first requested, what, 52-day extension?
Yeah, we said
way.
no. Yeah.
There wasn't even a
We
chance
told
of
them
that.
no.
So I think we've compromised a 20.
Yeah, we're in middle of October is
Yeah.
what we're shooting for Parks and Rec. So.
Is there any other discussion? for Councilman Johnson.
You went for water.
Okay.
Bathroom or something?
Okay, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item 6.20 is a motion to approve AKT Peerless to provide regulatory compliance and closure reporting activities for underground storage tank removal in the amount not to exceed $120,200, and funds are provided from the motor vehicle account.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Cross, supported by Councilwoman Winton. Is there any discussion?
Me.
Councilwoman,
Go ahead.
Right.
What tanks?
I'm gonna let Brian here from AKT Peerless give you a little synopsis of what's going on with the state. There is issues with closing these projects out. Like, I have some experience with underground storage tanks with other communities, and this is no different. I'm trying to get a site closed out. So we'll let Brian take over and tell them what some of the challenges are and what the state's requiring.
Good evening. For the first question, you guys had 4 open cases. You had tanks at the DPW, at the fire station number 2, fire station number 3, and here at City Hall. We are applying for closure. That's the focus. The data is coming in that I believe we are confident that we are going to approach closure for 2021 on all of the first 3 except City Hall. City Hall, I have to do additional delineation to define the exact location where the plume is, so that when we come down to apply for closure, that it's clearly defined and the state can accept it.
You might want deed restrictions that we might have to do.
Right, in order to get closure, they're gonna want a deed restriction on where contamination is, that there's no building expansion without testing. If you're going to do any kind of work in those areas where there is contamination, that you test first. They're not gonna want any water wells, and they're gonna wanna keep the zoning the same as it is today.
So basically, this $120,000 is on top of everything we paid for the removals. Correct?
Yes, but all of the costs that we've incurred, other than the UST removals, have been eligible expenses under MUSTA.
The reimbursement.
So we get
Reimbursement.
reimbursed, correct.
Okay.
Councilwoman
Yeah,
Vance.
well, I was just gonna say, it just seems like, I thought we were done with the tanks, and then here we are
Almost.
again, so
My
this is
job
the final.
My job is to advocate your position, which is basically my technical position. We're ready for closure on 3 of them. We have to go through the reporting requirements to allow the state to review it and approve it, and that takes a couple steps to get through that process. So what I'm looking for is the funding to do that, collect additional samples to stay in compliance, and then basically drive them home.
Okay, Councilman Johnson.
And how long do you think it takes to get the reimbursement?
Once we submit a claim, so for each case, once the dollars for the services that we provide, once they reach a threshold of $5,000, we submit a claim on your behalf, and you guys are getting paid, I believe, within 45 days.
We've been receiving reimbursements regularly since we started this project. After we had a $10,000 deductible,
Yes.
but we're covered up to $1 million for each site under MUSTA.
So if we go in the motor vehicle account, we can see those reimbursements?
They would be as a receivable, and Jason would have to give you a report on those for whatever we receive from the state on the reimbursements.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the reimbursements are basically 100% reimbursable, possibly, but there are some items that we find that weren't reimbursable. They're not very big items, but the majority of the money has been reimbursed, and we can probably get some type of information to the council on how much we've been reimbursed to date.
It'd be interesting to see how much we spent, how much we got back.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so the reimbursement actually was money that we put out before, got it back, and we can use that money now to pay for the final. that
Well,
kinda
I mean,
like
it's
that?
all one big pot.
That's what
I mean,
I'm
you can
saying.
look at it that way, but it's,
Okay.
you know, this is
is
coming
not
out of the
new
vehicle
money that-
maintenance fund.
This is not new money that we are giving out because we've got reimbursements for that.
No, it's,
Ah.
no, I don't think it's kind, you know, but I do believe when you do get reimbursed, it does go back into fund balance for the motor vehicle account, or, it's general fund, it's general fund.